In this video, we'll talk about why you should focus on one thing at a time. Multitasking is basically trying to split focus and divide your attention to getting multiple projects done at a time. While many believe that this practice actually gets more done, that may not always be the case. Instead, while trying to increase the quantity of jobs being performed, you may well be compromising the quality of every one of them. The result is hurting your own productivity while shifting focus from one task to the other without being fully attentive to any single one. Instead, here's a look at why you should only focus on one thing at a time. It gets things done. The best part about doing one thing at a time is that it gets things done. When you focus all your attention and energy to one thing, you ensure that the particular task will get done and it will be done on time. For you to accomplish any task, you need to have excessive focus. The thing about focus is that it gets diverted easily if there are more things on your mind. When you're doing one thing at a time, your focus is only on that one task, and it gets done in a timely manner. On the contrary, if you try to do three things at the same time, then your focus will be divided between them, and you'll not be able to do any single one of them. It leaves room for error. Everyone who does more than one thing at a single time knows that there's a much greater chance of error when you're doing more things at one time. On the other hand, when you give your undivided attention to one thing only, you can do it with much more accuracy. In fact, multitasking is actually switching between tasks, and when it boils down to concentration and productivity, the brain only has a limited amount. A common example is people using their cell phones while driving. Since you're not focusing on one thing only, there's a huge margin for error. Even in less impacting issues such as texting, this phenomenon can be seen. If you text 4 or 5 people at the same time, there's a likelihood that you will end up sending the wrong thing to the wrong person. It is due to this reason that you need to keep your focus on one thing only. Accomplishment of tasks should not be your only goal. Your goal should be to do the task in the best way possible with minimum error. To make this possible, it's essential to stay focused on one thing at a single time and not have a lot of different things to do at the same time. Higher success rate. If you focus on one thing at a time, you end up having a better chance of succeeding at something. This is not only applicable in the case of business or entrepreneurs, but also in any everyday situation. People who try to do one thing at a time are more likely to be attentive, as well as those who try to do everything at the same time. In the same way, the probability of being successful is higher if you focus on one thing at a time. Businesses tend to focus on one thing for the time being, such as making their marketing effort more efficient or increasing employee productivity, instead of trying to do all of these things at once. It's not possible to juggle so many things at once, so the better approach is to take one step at a time. It does not deplete energy. If you have a habit of doing many things at one time, you will always be tired and will suffer from a lack of energy. This is why it's better to focus on one thing instead of trying to go for 3 or 4 things. The human brain may be like a machine when it comes to its functionality, but it has the human character of tiredness. It gets tired after long hours of activity and after doing so many things at the same time. When you try to do a lot of things at the same time, you are putting a lot of strain on the brain. As a result of this, the energy reserves of the body are exploited, which leads to a decrease in the energy levels of the body. You might feel that you are capable of doing many things at the same time, but the truth is that the internal functioning of your body is not entirely visible to you, so you cannot really know how an activity is harming the inside of your body. If you focus on one thing at a time, you can direct your brain to do the same thing for a precise period of time. When your brain only has to accomplish one task at a time, it can function more effectively. However, if you're trying to cook and clean and write an essay at the same time, the brain and body are going to have a hard time trying to keep up with the levels of your activity. If your work involves physical work, it can also tire out your body. And when the body is not active, there's no way you can focus on a task to make it more successful. When your glucose levels run out, your body function also decreases. It keeps distractions away. Another benefit of doing one thing at a time is that it keeps distractions at bay. When you try to do more than one task at a time, you'll find your brain wandering off to the other task that needs to be done. Using the example mentioned above, if you're trying to cook, but your brain is constantly focused on the content you need for your essay, it's not unlikely that you will be successful in any of your tasks. You may be able to cook and finish your essay, but the essay is not going to be the best you've ever written, and the cooking is not going to be satisfactory. When you focus all your attention and concentration onto one thing, you can easily accomplish your task as your brain is only thinking of the current task at hand. It lets you enjoy work. Let's admit it. If you're trying to juggle too many things at the same time, you will not be able to enjoy any of it. Just imagine writing emails while having dinner. There's no way you're going to enjoy dinner due to the distractions, and it's also probable that you will end up making mistakes in your emails. Similarly, at work or during studying, if you do not focus on one thing at a time, you will not be able to enjoy it. Most people do not enjoy their work because they're trying to manage a whole lot of tasks at once. When you start doing one thing at a time, you will see things that you like or enjoy in that task more easily. Conclusively, multitasking can prove to be pretty unproductive as lower quality work is produced, more mistakes are made, and both time and effort get wasted.